All right, so let's jump right in. What you're looking at here are the ruins of Nalanda. But listen, this is so much more than just a pile of old bricks. This place was one of the greatest centers of learning the world has ever known. I mean, a true beacon of knowledge for 1,000 years, which makes the story of how it was all destroyed even more tragic. You know, when you're actually standing there, in the middle of all these ruins, a local guide said something that it really sticks with you. It's this thought that kind of hangs in the air. Time waits for no one. And boy, it certainly didn't wait for Nalanda. So let's dig in and explore what this amazing place was and what was ultimately lost. Okay, so to really get how important Nalanda was, we've got to zoom out for a second. Think about it. It wasn't just some random, isolated wonder. No, it was more like the crown jewel in this incredible network, this whole ecosystem of knowledge that stretched all across ancient Asia. So, back in the day, there were basically 3 legendary universities. I mean, these places were magnets for the brightest minds you can imagine. You had Takshashila, which is in modern-day Pakistan, Vikramshila, also in India, and of course, the great Nalanda. Seriously, you can think of this as the Ivy League of the ancient world. That's the level we're talking about.
And believe me, these were not just some stuffy, dusty old schools. The people who graduated from here, they literally went on to shape empires. Just look at Takshashila, one of the other big ones. It produced absolute giants like Chanakya, the famous political strategist, Chandragupta, who founded a whole empire, and Charaka, a pioneer of ancient medicine. So yeah, that's the league Nalanda was playing in.
Okay, so now that you have that context, let's do this. Let's actually take a walk through the grounds. I want you to try and imagine it. Picture yourself as a student. Maybe you're arriving for the very first time, something like 1,500 years ago. The history of this exact spot it's incredibly long. Get this, 1,000 years before these big brick buildings were even a thought, this whole area was described in Buddhist texts as just a simple, peaceful mango grove, a place the Buddha himself is said to have visited. It's not until way later, in the 5th century, that it officially becomes a university. And that legacy, well, it lasted all the way until its violent destruction in the 12th century.
So our tour is going to start right here, in the student dorms, the hostels. And as you walk through these corridors, I mean, you can almost feel it. You can almost hear the echoes of the thousands of students who lived and learned right here, inside these very walls.
And when I say thousands, I mean it. It was massive. At its absolute peak, Nalanda had something like 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers. That's not just a university, that's a whole bustling city, and its entire purpose was the pursuit of knowledge. Okay, now this is what I find so cool. Look at the details you can still see today. Every single student got their own private room. And see those little niches carved into the walls? Those were their bookshelves. You can even spot the holes where they would have put wooden stoppers for their doors. And right nearby, there were these larger, quieter rooms just for meditation. The whole place was just perfectly designed for deep, focused study. And this right here, this just blows my mind. It shows you the genius of their engineering. Okay, so look. On one side, you've got the original wall. It's 1,600 years old, made with this traditional mix of lentils, lime, and herbs, and it is rock solid. Then, right next to it, you have a repair they did in 1961 using modern cement, and it's literally crumbling already. It just goes to show you, the old ways were really built to last, huh?
So, okay, we've seen where the students lived. But what about why they came here? What were they actually learning? What was the big mission behind Nalanda?
Well, what made Nalanda so special is that it was kind of 2 things at once. On one hand, it was the global center for Buddhist philosophy. Monks and scholars flocked here from all over Asia. But, and this is a big but, it wasn't just a monastery. It also gave you a complete education in what was called Vedic knowledge. We're talking logic, grammar, medicine, metaphysics, the whole shebang. It was a truly well-rounded, complete education. But all of this incredible, vibrant world of learning, it all came to a very sudden and very violent end. And the story of how it was destroyed, well, it's a pretty chilling reminder of just how fragile knowledge can be.
The story, as it's been passed down, goes something like this. There was this Turco-Afghan general, Bakhtiar Khilji, and he got really sick. His own doctors couldn't do a thing. So reluctantly, he calls for the head scholar from Nalanda. Now the scholar was clever. He knew the general had a lot of pride. So instead of making him drink some potion, he just applied medicine to the pages of the Quran. And as Khilji read the book, licking his finger to turn each page, he took in the medicine, and he was cured. But here's the twist. Instead of being grateful, Khilji was consumed by jealousy. He was furious that these scholars had knowledge so far beyond his own. And in his rage, He ordered the entire university to be burned to the ground.
And the biggest tragedy of all? The library. They called it Dharma Gunj, which means Mountain of Truth. Just imagine a 9-story building packed with millions of handwritten manuscripts. And when Khilji set it on fire, it said that it burned for 3 solid months. Just a constant pillar of smoke marking the end of an era. Think about it, an unimaginable amount of knowledge, medicine, astronomy, philosophy, literature, all of it just gone forever.
So, what does that leave us with today? When we walk through these quiet, empty halls, what's the lesson here?
Well, like that guide said, the evidence of what happened is literally everywhere you look. You can walk into rooms that you know were temples, and you see the empty pedestals where huge statues of the Buddha used to sit. They're just gone, melted, burned, completely destroyed in that fire. The emptiness itself tells a really powerful story.
And really, that leaves us with a final, pretty heavy thought. The story of Nalanda, it's not just ancient history, is it? It's a timeless question that feels more urgent than ever, even in our own world. It really makes you think about the consequences. What happens when we choose ignorance over wisdom? What do we all stand to lose when we let the fear of knowledge win out over the search for it?